Alright guys, so here's where we're at so far. I managed to take out the bracket that was up there. The two bottom bolts had already been taken out. Not sure if you can see those two, shiny brass pieces up there at the top of the screen. At least one there. That's where the top bolts were. They were 12 millimeter. I took those out and was able to shimmy it down this side. There's a connector at the top. That just slid right off. There's a bracket on there and it just slides off. There's a set of wires right there that you can see. And those right there that connect to that bracket, you just take a screwdriver and that little tab that's at the bottom, you just pull it back and that slides off of those threads. It's not a bolt you can remove. It's just it's basically a push on. So you pull that little tab back and slide that off, take those bolts out of that bracket and slide it off. Like I said, the bracket bolts are 12 millimeter. I come over here to the starter solenoid, 12 millimeter bolt there on the solenoid. There's a set of ground wires that was right there. That's 12 millimeter. That comes off. The next thing is there's going to be a bolt right there behind where that set of threads were. That's one bolt, and there's another one that I believe I'm going to have to access from the top, which would be in the top left corner of your screen there. So I'm going to take the starter loose next. Hopefully that's not going to be too bad. But the part that I'm talking about that is bad, that is the end of the tube. If you look right there where my finger's at, there's a S-shaped hose that goes into the water pump, and that bracket actually bolts on right there. There's two bolts that hold it on to the motor. So I'm going to have to take it loose there. But just to let you know, it is possible to get that water tube replaced from the bottom, and you can do it yourself. Get the car up high enough. So let me take the starter off. I'll let you guys know what size bolts they were and how many bolts there were. Like I said, I know there's one right there. I think there's only two. There's one at the top, and I'm going to have to access that from the top. And then we'll give you an update. Okay, everybody. So here's an update. The bolt that I was originally looking at was not the right one underneath for the starter. That one actually bolts the engine to the transmission case, the big one there. So the one that the ground wires were going to the starter is actually, it has a nut on the outside, and then it has a stud that goes in through the starter and into the transmission housing. It's 13 millimeter. That comes off fairly well and worked pretty good. And now I'm going to take you up to the top and show you where the next one is. The next one is right down through here, and I don't know if I can get enough camera focus to show you, but it's really hard to get to. If you go down through here up under this pipe, I can't show you, the focus is not going to let me do it, but there's a bolt there, and if you take a short 3/8 drive ratchet with a 13 millimeter long socket, you can face the ratchet back this way and get enough leverage to get that off. And it is a bear to get off, but you can get to it that way. So now I'm going to go underneath. I've got both of the bolts loose from the starter. There's only two. There's a top one that I showed you a while ago, and there's that one. I'm going to take the starter and I'm going to shimmy it down through. Then I can show you the rest of the pipe that needs to be replaced. Okay guys, so here we are. Got the starter taken out, got the bracket taken out, and there is the pesky pipe. You've got a S-shaped hose that goes to the water pump that connects to the pipe, and then you've got the pipe that runs along. As you can see, it's got two brackets there. There is the repair on that left side, that white looking stuff that I made last weekend to try to get us by. But basically what I'm going to do is go ahead and take that pipe loose. I'm going to have to take those clamps off. I'm going to go ahead and replace that pipe, because as long as I'm down here this far, I'm not going to take a chance in having to pull all this stuff back off and leave that pipe to chance. I'm hoping I can find one at the parts store, but nevertheless, there's the pipe, the coolant pipe on a 2006 Chevy Aveo. I believe this pipe fits 2005 to 2010 if I'm not mistaken, but nevertheless, that's what it is. And I'm going to see what size bolts it takes, and we're going to go ahead and snatch it off. So what I'm doing now is I'm going to take the heater hose. The heater hose is loose. The one on the closest to the driver's side is accessible from the top of the motor, as well as this clamp here that goes to the coolant recovery jug. So both of those are accessible from the top side. The one that's closest to the passenger side, which you can't see that well, I'm going to have to access it from the bottom. So I'm going to take it loose from the bottom. The two bolts that take the pipe loose are 12 millimeter. That's what unbolts it from the motor. The brackets that hold it to the motor, they're 12 millimeter. I've already taken those loose, and I've also taken loose the there's a short hose that you can buy from AutoZone or Advance. It's a short S-looking hose that goes from the pipe to the water pump. It's about $12. I had to order it. They didn't have it in stock, but they could order it. I'm gonna have it later this afternoon. So I'm gonna take these hoses here loose from the top, then I'm gonna go ahead and take the hose loose from the bottom, and it'll be ready to come loose. All right, guys, so here is the pipe. Here's the pesky coolant pipe. And I've already taken it loose. I've got it here sitting on the motor. And as you can see, here's the lower radiator hose connection, which came from right here. Goes around. Here's the port to the coolant recovery jug. Here's the one to the heater core. I was actually mistaken. I thought there was 5 connections, but there's only 4. So you've got lower radiator hose, coolant recovery jug. This is the port going into the driver's side of the heater core, and then apparently the other hose goes into the engine. And then right here is the little S pipe that I had to order from AutoZone. This goes from the pipe over to the water pump, and as you can see, it's looks like it's been leaking here, but you've got some rust residue there where it looks like it's been leaking, and it's also very swollen. It's soft to the touch. So got the pipe ordered. It'll be here this afternoon, and I'm not going to go ahead and post any more videos as far as how to put it back together, because if you've got this far and everything, you can go back in reverse order of what you did, putting the coolant pipe back in, bolting it back up, putting the hose back on. So basically this was, I apologize for not showing more than what I did on the car, but basically I wanted to do this as an information video to show you that if you do have one of these hoses leaking, that you can do it yourself safely. If you get the car up off the ground, you can do it yourself without having to take it to a mechanic or to a dealer. You do not have to remove the intake manifold. You can get to it from beneath if you take the starter and that bracket loose. You can get to the pipe very, very easily. So hope this video helps somebody to be able to fix their car, and hope that gives somebody some information on it. So have a good one, guys. Until next time.